chief guest today, Mr. Ajay Shankar, all the eminent speakers. Mr. Bami is there in the audience. Mr. Bami was the founder, president. He has been associated with the India Energy Forum right from its inception. And our vertical chairman, Mr. Popli, who spoke from Canada. I have been in touch with him for organizing this seminar over the last few weeks. And this is the third or fourth seminar on hydrogen that I have the opportunity to participate and speak. I think only a few days back in India International Center, there was a program and I spoke from here through virtual mode. Hydrogen, we have been associated in the industry right from the beginning. Hydrogen is not unknown. Industry has been using hydrogen in a variety of ways and over decades and perhaps centuries. So hydrogen is a known energy source. But it has assumed great relevance and a big dimension now in the context of climate considerations, because it is completely clean fuel. When I'm talking of it is completely clean fuel, green hydrogen is completely clean fuel. With the amount of hydrogen that is produced today, the clean hydrogen is not even 4 or 5% of that. So 95% plus of hydrogen that is produced is either gray hydrogen or blue hydrogen. So I wanted to get into details of what is gray and what is blue and what is green. So that is three colors of hydrogen have surfaced. I mean, they were always there, but now since the subject has become so contemporary and so relevant that one likes to get into really what's the distinction between gray hydrogen, difference between gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen, and green hydrogen. Today's subject we are trying to focus is the green hydrogen, because green hydrogen really is the clean fuel. Gray produces a lot of carbon. So gray is done mostly, and as I said, that of the entire quantity of hydrogen that is produced, as Mr. Popli mentioned just now, more than 95% is in the green category, is in the gray category. And that is, out of that, most of it is produced from gas. And the amount of carbon it emits is much more, much larger. So therefore, that cannot be an acceptable proposition. Even though it is hydrogen, this is not an acceptable proposition from the point of view of what the whole globe, what the whole world is struggling today to find solution to fossil fuel-based power generation and fossil fuel-based energy consumption, whether in the petroleum sector, gas sector, or coal sector. I mean, a fuel which used to be the darling of energy people. When I entered the energy sector, the beginning of 80s, I learned that 21st century will be the century of gas, and gas will be the better fuel, because gas was better in terms of climate issues than coal. But then now whole world is even looking at petroleum fuel and gas as a fuel with suspicion and with some degree of attempt and struggle to find solution to the climate change challenges. So therefore, when you produce gray hydrogen, you produce a lot of carbon dioxide. What is blue hydrogen? When you have carbon capture and utilization, that you produce gas, you produce hydrogen as gray hydrogen, but also treat the carbon, like we are trying to treat carbon in the case of thermal power through carbon capture and utilization. Not a very successful strategy so far, very costly, not very much prevalent. All those who are in the thermal power sector are struggling to find solutions on the research side, not yet anywhere near the affordability of this technique. So therefore, when you have carbon capture and utilization, CCU, linked with the gray hydrogen, then that becomes the blue hydrogen. Then when you have hydrogen, you have a little bit of carbon, much reduced carbon, and capture most of it through CCU technologies, and then get the hydrogen that becomes the blue hydrogen. So today we are focusing on just for understanding the issues. Today we are focusing on green hydrogen. And why we are focusing on green hydrogen? Because solar solution that we have got, a wonderful solution that we have got in the world, and that too in last 6 7 years, that is not fully complete. We have solar, but the solar lets us down in the nights, and therefore what do we do? The part solution that India is struggling, other countries are struggling. Those who have the advantage of having wind with them, like India does have, we have 750 gigawatt of potential of solar, but we also have about 300 plus gigawatt of potential of wind. We have done much less than the potential, and we are struggling, and we are trying to target our vision in a manner that all these potentials are finally harnessed. 500 gigawatt to 750 gigawatt of solar, and at present we are in the close vicinity of about 80 gigawatt both solar and wind together. We are much larger in coming years. By 2030, the target is 500 gigawatt plus of renewable. We have done fairly well, but then we have a lot of issues and challenges in managing the operations, managing the system, and the challenges are going to multiply when we improve or increase, enhance considerably the proportion of renewable energy into our system. And it's not only India, whole world. So if the energy profile is going to change substantially from the fossil fuel centric power generation or fossil fuel centric energy consumption, not only power generation, energy consumption as a whole, then obviously we will have a number of challenges to handle the grid management, to handle other issues. Take, for example, if we want to convert our fossil fuel centric transport system, railway system, road transport, highway transport system, and get out considerably to the from the diesel based operations in the railway system as in the highway system. Obviously, there are issues. Of course, India has the dual issue of climate, and it also has the issue of heavy dependence to the extent of more than 85% on the consumption of fossil fuel petroleum products. So we have both the challenges to reduce our carbon footprint and to also reduce our extraordinary burden, excessive burden of foreign exchange purchase through import of more than 85% of what we consume in India on the process. So not only on the power sector, but the other sector. And therefore, a lot of transport is also being thought in terms of transport through electricity. So there you have electricity and then you have transport. So to that extent, you reduce our dependence on import and therefore foreign exchange. But then if we have that electricity, which is primarily today 70% fossil fuel centric, then you have the carbon footprint. So then we have that issue. So therefore, so many options are being sort of studied. So many options are being evaluated. We had a program on pumped storage. We have a program on hydro. Recently, we had a program on hydropower. Hydropower somehow declined over the last 20, 25 years when the thermal took over as the larger proportion, much larger and accelerated rate of growth. And therefore, hydro proportion went down and down and down. And when I left the ministry, we were 26%. Earlier, it used to be even more. And now it is close to 12-13%. So 12-13% of capacity of the total installed system in India is only hydro now. So therefore, again, there is a renewed emphasis on hydro. So hydro as a backup, the storage hydro as a backup for the solar system that you have during daytime, and you miss it during nights. When you miss it during nights, then you have the challenge. You have the challenge to managing the peak load, you have challenge to managing the grid, etc., etc. So therefore, hydro again is being considered as a very, very important, though it might be costly, though it might take a longer lead time to construct and commission, and still that is being considered seriously as an option to take care of this problem of challenge and the problem and the challenge that are arising out of massive expansion of the solar system. Another option that is within hydro is being also considered very seriously. Wherever you have hydro projects already operational or even at the new locations, why don't you have pumped storage? So use the solar energy during daytime. A question arose in one of my addresses recently. A question arose that if you want to do pump storage by using the thermal power to height of water, then what is the fun? Then you use more, you consume more coal and then generate more carbon dioxide, and then that does not make sense. So therefore, use the solar system, solar power during the daytime, and raise the water level and generate electricity through pump storage. So that is another option that is coming. But all these are parallel to what is happening globally on the battery itself. And the more we learn about this, the more we talk about this, there have been decline in the prices, but not as sharp as one would have expected. And therefore, and then the battery has other associated problems with environmental issues. Yet, battery is not forgotten. So what we will see in coming 10, 15, 20 years is not that this is the only substitute. Hydrogen will not be the only substitute, nor pumped storage will be the only substitute, nor hydro project will be the only substitute. And nuclear itself we are considering as a backup. Nuclear is carbon-free power generation. So nuclear, hydro projects, pumped storage, hydrogen, all these will go and will be there. And the beauty will be that there will be market play. The one that gives us the best advantage and the most optimum cost will prevail. It is there where they struggle globally and struggle in India. Of course, Indian habit has been that we wait only for some other countries to do research and then we do. I mean, after all, so much of solar we are doing, but mostly we are depending on others to import. Good initiatives have been taken by many public and private sector companies to have domestic manufacturing. This time I am seeing a different type of urge, a different type of thrust, a different type of commitment, a different type of mission at the government level, at the public sector level, and at the private sector level. Very many large organizations, they have announced, even on the subject that we are talking, green hydrogen. They have announced on solar, but they have also announced on green hydrogen. They have also announced on other storage systems that could be required for reducing our carbon footprint over a period of, let's say, the next 40 years. Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister in Glasgow mentioned by the year 2070, we should be net zero. That means we produce carbon, but then there are matching activities which take care of that. So therefore, by 2070, if we have to do that, then all these preparations will have to be mounted. And it is in that context that one is very happy to see that this time we are not having that mindset that wait for China and wait for Western countries to do your research and then you will adopt it. Of course, in global economy, adaptation, networking is important. But this time we are finding financial commitments, a vision, and a project management approach to get into these issues. And good organizations, both in government and public sector and private sector, have come up to get into this. So I definitely hope in 5, 6, 7 years down the line, you will have some breakthrough, maybe globally, even in India, through our own technology development initiatives. Technology development initiatives I have never seen in the last 50 years in the manner it is being launched at this point of time. So for we energy professionals, that's a matter of great satisfaction and happiness that this goes on. So that means for once, then we can say, take for example, on solar manufacturing, a lot more is happening in India, so that our dependence on China and others reduces. If we have to do 750 gigawatt of solar, can we depend only on import from outside? I mean, we have messed up in our efforts on the petroleum sector, resulting in 85% of import. We need not mess up similar way on energy management and other sectors. And that initiative, those initiatives which have been taken, give us hope that things will be entirely different and significantly different from the past. I think with these few words, I will come back again after question, answer, and presentations. But may I now request Mr. Ajay Shankar? He has been a very distinguished colleague with me. I think he was the longest. I was there all through, and ever since I joined and left, Ajay was always with me. So I think when I spoke to him, he didn't take even a few seconds to confirm that he will be happy to be here as a chief guest. Technology, when it is developed, the big question comes whether it can be accepted in the market with maybe a little bit of sacrifice in the beginning by the market or by the government subsidy. And later on, it is on its own. We didn't have to do a lot for solar, as rightly mentioned by Mr. Ajay Shankar, that solar mission was launched for the 20,000 megawatt with 15, 16, 17 rupees per unit of power at that time. And then it is on its own. It is on its own. I mean, it has been going down. Market, in fact, sometimes I feel why private sector people and other developers are becoming so aggressive. Maybe later on they get into banking problem, financing problem, etc. etc. Sometimes I do feel that way, that it is so competitive, highly competitive, beyond expectation. I mean, you can imagine 2 rupee 50 paise, 2 rupees 40 paise per unit of power coming down in a period of 6-7 years from more than 15 rupees was like a dream. One couldn't have expected. So therefore, technology development rightly done and given the volume. The advantage with India and also with China, of course, is that volume can be there. And if the volumes are there, demands are there, consumptions are there, then technology development with the cost in the beginning looks prohibitive, but then the market takes care. So many buyers, and therefore price per unit reduces. Hydrogen as a source of energy has been known always, as I said in the beginning. It will continue to be very relevant. It has become very, very relevant now. And India has taken a lead. Just today, I got a news item. Adani has signed a deal with Total, their partner, to invest almost $50 billion over next 10 years. There is an announcement, $50 billion over next 10 years for producing hydrogen. So that's and I was mentioning briefly that a lot of industry houses have come out. Reliance has also come out. Tata have also mentioned. NTPC has also mentioned. Power Ministry and Government of India, they have launched hydrogen mission. So this is the point I was making in the morning, that the commitment is unprecedented type. I mean, not that technology development and research have not been talked in the past. I have been a critic of the way these issues have been handled in the past. But then this time we find a totally new pattern, a new mindset, a new determination to do something, and therefore it will happen. Akvi presentation was an eye-opener. Also presentation by Varsane and DOS.